In a world where the news gets twisted, John and Tom stand tall, never wished it. MAGA hats on, they take the stage. With laughter and facts, they break the cage. Unsanctioned voices fearless and bold, turning the tide, watch the truth unfold. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining a light. Oh, debating the nonsense of the woke parade. With every punchline, conservative trade, they tackle the issues with humor and wit. In Unsanctioned America, they won't quit. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite, as John and Tom class through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining a light. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite, as John and Tom clash through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining a light. Oh, together they rise, wear their pride like a crown. In Unsanctioned America, never backing down. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining a light. Oh, shining a light.
Tyrus, what would you do if someone keyed your car?
Oh.
What if they thought you were,
What do I typically do when someone keys my car? I raise their children. Why you got to get those keyless fobs? Listen, just some words of advice here. If you're going to be a thug, if you're going to go out and do covert operations, maybe not wear your favorite fruity pants that day.
Yes, orange pants.
Like, wow, between orange guy and
Pajama boy.
pajama guy,
Switch, yeah.
like, aren't you the party of masks?
Yeah.
Like, morons, like this one stares right into it. You didn't even need a mugshot. Just take the one from the car. And the other guy thinks because he has glasses on, no one's going to see him in his hot orange pants. And then has the nerve when the police says, "We have it on camera." Huh?
Yeah.
Like, fellas, if you're gonna be warriors, dress up. This is why I got so offended when they were like, "Hey, we got to watch the Republicans. They're in the hills training for Civil War." We're gonna train for that.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
You said the other day
Absolutely.
you uncovered some evidence that there was massive Social Security fraud and that arrests were imminent.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that? And what can you tell us about what you've seen politicians do to make massive amounts of money off of the federal government, like Nancy Pelosi? Please.
Yes. So we've encountered. There's really so much for it. It's deciding what should be prosecuted first, because it's such a long list. You have to actually prioritize the list. We convey the list to the Department of Justice. The DOJ has a process that they go through to review and think about it. The wheels of justice turn slowly. In fact, obviously, I have a maniacal sense of urgency. So to me, when I see that terrible fraud has happened, I'm like, why haven't we arrested someone already? But as the saying goes, the wheels of justice turn slowly but surely. And I think probably the person that stole 400,000 Social Security numbers, at least, maybe more, will be arrested hopefully this week. With respect to the non-governmental organizations, these sort of fake NGOs, I think there needs to be a number of arrests in that regard as well, because these are fake charities where mostly Democrats, I don't want to be clear. There's sometimes a little bit of Republican in there because they sometimes throw the Republicans a bone to say, "Hey, be quiet about this." So that's where you start getting the uniparty thing going on. But it is overwhelmingly to Democrats, and they give give billions of dollars to NGOs run by Democrats that then go through a whole network of additional NGOs. It's a giant money laundering scheme. Really, at this point, I think the word NGO and money laundering are almost synonymous.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and it makes sense to me too, John. How you doing, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, how are you doing? It's been a month since we did our last show. We've been kind of both busy, and then we upgraded the whole system for the show. Tom has a whole bunch of new toys that he's using to put the show together, so things should be more streamlined, a little bit better, but we're still learning, and so you might see a couple of different technical errors. Nothing like when we started the show, though.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not even close.
Yeah. However, who is having technical errors apparently is the Social Security office, because they have no idea apparently who they're sending checks to.
Yeah.
These two videos are crazy. They are demonstrative, which is apparently a buzzword that the media is using to attack Republicans. But this is demonstrative of the problems of our country right now. You have these radical leftists who are clearly on medication, and a key might be too dangerous for them to wield, who are attacking Teslas across the country, people attacking dealerships. This is nothing short of domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
They are setting cars on fire. They're attacking people. We've seen videos of people force people off the road who are driving Teslas. A 60-something-year-old woman who was attacked and I think punched in the face by a crazy liberal. It's out of control. And so these people are reacting to the real problem of our country. One of the pillars of all that is wrong with our country, the mainstream media, who are driving this madness. And those media personalities who are responsible for inciting this violence, which is exactly what they are, the same people who wanted to see people from January 6th thrown in jail with the key locked away, thrown away forever.
Yeah.
But they're inciting this violence, and that's exactly what's happening, because Elon Musk, from what we see in the other video, the only thing he's doing is uncovering all the wrongs that the government has been doing to us.
Yep.
And this is the reaction. It makes zero sense. It's how you know that something is very wrong. And I mean, our country has a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
It's just a shame. It's just a shame.
True.
But we have a great show. We haven't been here. Hopefully it's a great show, because we haven't done it in a month. So this has got to be a good one. So we have a whole bunch of great stories that we need to talk about. We need to make sure that the public is aware of, and we need to make sure that you guys are involved in forcing the right action by our government officials, which is something that's been lacking in this country for so long, for decades, in fact, that has led us to the place that we're at right now. So welcome to another Unsanctioned America. That's the long way to intro the show. And we're very happy to be here with you today after a short time off. We're going to say a quick prayer, and then we're going to get right into the show. Lord, so many things are going right. And even though we see some possessed people react the way that we would expect for them to behave when they're possessed, we know that basically the rug has been lifted. The country is being shaken, and all the rats are falling out. And this is a transition that our country needs, and we are grateful for this opportunity to correct our country, to correct the direction our country is going in for the sake of our future generations, our kids, our grandkids, our great-grandkids, and future generations that we'll never meet. They deserve the opportunity of this country the way that you inspired it, which is a country of laws, a country based on a constitution inspired by you and your principles. And it's not something that we can let go. So continue to inspire your people to fight hard, to bring about this country to a more perfect place. And the closer it is to you, the more perfect it is, Lord. We are grateful. We surrender our lives to you. We submit to your will always. In your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, let's get to it, Tom.
All right, let's get on with it. All right, so this first story, John, and this is some of the craziness. You know, we started out with that first video where Elon Musk is talking about this gigantic Ponzi scheme, and I think we always knew that there was issues with Social Security. Even back in the 90s when we were kids, we knew just from the things we heard about Social Security that there was big problems with Social Security.
Yeah.
Now we're finding out just how big the problems are, just how bad the corruption is. And this video here, Elon Musk and Antonio Gracias revealing how these non-citizens are getting Social Security numbers. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing, John. And
the numbers are mind-blowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd like to welcome my friend Antonio Gracias to the stage. I think so. Let's see, does it work? I can give you mine. Does it work? It'll be okay. I mean, Buzz Aldrin's still alive, and he went past the belts.
It'll work. Is this working? Yes, I know.
So, Antonio, can you tell us what you... Antonio is helping out with the Social Security. So just trying to review Social Security, where you may have heard that we found 20 million dead people marked as alive in the Social Security database. This is so crazy. And then you'll notice there's a strange trend here where how many Social Security numbers were issued. Do you want to?
Yeah. So let me tell you what happened here. We started at the top of the system.
You want to talk about a lot of maybe?
We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came up with a big list of stuff they're working on. You've heard some of that already. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants. Yeah, this country's been great to us. My brother and sister all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America. And there are a lot of good people in the system that pointed us in this direction. I want to honor them right now, that work in the government today, who took risks to show us these numbers and tell us what's going on. Yeah. So I want to stop for a minute. I want to honor those people today. Very good people. Very good people. I have been from D.C. to Social Security offices to the border to track this down, and very good people have helped us along the way. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
This number, what this is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid, and they'll give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview, then you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border. They do what's called a release from your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, notice to appear, which to appear to judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges. There's only 700 of them. This is 5.5 million people, okay? So what happens then? Once you're in the country and you got asylum through one of these pathways, and we mapped the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765, it's the work form. You get this form called the 766, that's the authorization, and then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview, no
Wow.
ID.
This is worth just reiterating. It's not people sometimes think that under the Biden administration that he was simply asleep at the switch. He wasn't asleep.
No.
They weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people and make it a permanent, deep blue, one-party state from which there would be no escape.
Look, if I had to tell and Elon is right, this is true. The defaults in the system from Social Security to all benefit programs are set to max inclusion, max pay for these people, and minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million of them already on Medicaid, as an example.
Wow.
On every benefit program we went through, we found groups from this particular group of people, 5.5 million people, in those benefit programs. And then what was really, really disturbing us was why. And so we had the voter registration records. We found people here registered to vote in the election, yes.
And who did vote?
And we found some by sampling that did vote. And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service.
Yeah.
Already. That has already happened.
Well, that's a good thing there, John. At least, we know that they referred them for prosecution. This is crazy, though. This is absolutely crazy. And like I said, we knew that there was something wrong, but to the extent that they're showing us right now, I mean, God, John, I mean, to tell me that 2020 wasn't rigged now, you know what I mean? Or at least they weren't trying.
It's a crime. It's not just crazy. It's a crime. It's not just somebody who fell asleep at the wheel, like Musk was saying. This is somebody who planned to deceive a country into a situation that would change the future of every American for the rest of different we're experiencing now. It wouldn't have been America. It would have been make America a communist state, a socialist state. And they were trying to make that happen by force because they knew that the people, and because they're watching the votes, they were in power.
Yeah.
So they knew what they were doing. They knew that they were basically in this Ponzi scheme of Social Security, this scheme, which you and I mean, I couldn't even hold it in how just pissed I was about the Social Security. Social Security is gone. People are like, oh, we're not going to touch it. We're not going to touch it. It's gone. They spent all the money.
Yeah.
You and I have been paying into it for more than 30 years. And the chances that we receive something in 15 years is I wouldn't bet on it.
No, I'm not betting on it. That's for sure.
And the fact is that they've wasted that money. If we had taken all the money that we paid into Social Security and we put it in an index fund, we'd be millionaires many times over.
Yeah.
So why are we forced to give the government money for our retirement that they're spending on giving it to U.S. aid, and U.S. aid is laundering the money and giving it back to Democrats?
Yeah.
And to their NGOs. Articles. Chelsea's wedding. So government money through USAID, and they're trying to prove that right now. This is a travesty. And the idea that we would be handing over a country that was on its way to a socialist nightmare, it was this close.
Yep.
It was this close. And they already tried to steal an election. There's no difference between the modern Democrat Party and Hugo Chavez of Venezuela.
Yeah.
So it's just a disaster. It's a disaster, and it's shocking. We're watching a movie script play out.
Yeah.
Now it's a matter of, are there enough patriots in the government right now to ensure that people go to jail and this never happens? Or are these more, reptilian traitors in the government that are just waiting Trump out, and they're going to do it in the next election?
Well, that's
Right?
the
It's
big
a
fear,
very real
isn't it,
danger.
John? That's the big
Yes,
fear, right?
Absolutely, that's the big fear.
Number one is we have to stop all this stuff. That's number one. And number two, we have to see people be held accountable for all of this, because this will continue on. They'll keep doing this. And we did dodge a bullet this past election. If Kamala Harris had gotten in, this would have continued, and it would have continued, and it would have continued until they bankrupt the country.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, they would have had this. It would have changed governments. We would have become a socialist government. They would have said that the capitalist experiment failed, democracy failed,
No.
and maybe the USSR was right. And they would have slowly but surely become like a modern day Germany, which is a nightmare.
Yeah.
First of all, modern day Germany is just a nightmare. It's a hellhole. It's a violent. The only thing that they may not be leading in terms of all things negative is maybe corruption. I get the impression that they're not as corrupt as the United States is right now, but certainly they have lost their way. They're just as bad as the Nazi regime. They're losing their right to free speech. The UK is losing its right to free speech. Australia is losing their right to free speech. France is losing their right to free speech. And so all these European countries, all these Western in quotation marks, are losing their way. And it's sad. It's sad to see. I mean, we might have more in common with Russia than we have with European Union right now. At least Russia, at least it pays lip service to keeping their faith, their Christian faith, and so on. Europe is, I think that Germany has more mosques than churches right now.
Wow. Well, that's part of the problem. We discussed this on the last show, John, is that out of control immigration has ruined these societies over there in Europe.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
It's
Great
not by accident.
Britain,
That's
Germany.
I think 4 years ago we would have said this was idiocy of leftist policies.
Yeah.
And now we're realizing this was the intent.
Yeah.
This is the toppling of the West, right? So we beat the USSR by tricking them into believing that there was this big Star Wars program, and they spent, themselves into oblivion. And now I think it's China. I think China's a big part of it. I think the leftist regimes, and you have these globalists who they trick the American people and the European people into this migration nightmare, which is destroying the West and removing this, making nationalism a bad word, right? Like having patriotism for your country be a bad word. And now we're paying the ramifications of hating your country. And you have these crazy people who are torching Teslas because, they don't
that's really the funny thing right there, John, is that these people who are vandalizing Teslas and Tesla dealerships
makes no
because
sense.
They hate Elon Musk so much because he's uncovering fraud and waste in our government. These people
5 minutes ago,
stealing our tax money and mishandling the way they spend it, and these people are protesting that.
But they were in love with him 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes ago, he was the greatest thing in the world because he was making these electric cars, and there's nothing better than he is, and the greatest guy, right?
It's like I've said a million times, John, mental illness is running rampant across our nation.
It is mental illness. It is mental, or it's something demonic. God only knows. I mean, because it's hard for me to explain that this is not demonic, just because you see like these very crazed people. Like everybody. There's a thing going viral right now where there's a man who walks up to a street pastor and he's basically telling him that, I knew your father before you and his father before him, and you don't want to raise this, whatever. It was just it's like people pretend, but some people don't pretend to be possessed. I mean, there's a lot of. I think this is a spiritual war as much as it is a policy war between the Democrats. Otherwise, why would we be trying to destroy gender, right?
Yeah.
And our roles of procreation and the things that are most sacred, it's just gone. All these things are gone. At least they tried to make it gone. And Trump saved us from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, John. All right, so next up on the agenda, John, RFK Jr., he's dropping a stunning vaccine announcement. What could it be? Well, let's check this out and see what it is.
Let me ask you, are you going to make any investments in long COVID and vaccine injuries in terms of coming up with treatments and data to help clinicians, help their patients?
Yeah, that's going to be one of our priority focuses. We already have a division at NIH that is devoted to studying long COVID and to figuring out cures and to study, and we're incorporating an agency within CDC that is going to specialize in vaccine injuries. Oh, those are things that are priorities for me, and also Lyme disease. These are priorities for the American people. More and more people are suffering from these injuries, and we are committed to having gold standard science. Make sure that we can figure out treatments we deliver the best treatments possible to the American people.
Well, that is good to hear. That is definitely good to hear, John. And hopefully we'll be able to go after these vaccine manufacturers for the damage they have done to people.
I mean, we got prepped for the show so early that we basically just went through the show and were having a conversation about everything. And I mean, I couldn't contain the outrageousness of so much stuff. This is another scheme on the American people.
Yeah.
We have the pharmaceutical industry, which everyone can agree is necessary. We need medicine. Medicine is not a thing that we should forego, of course. But if these entities have to exist only through immunity, then how can it be good? I mean, and if you can just imagine, because these guys have like total immunity from vaccine injuries. If the damages that somebody could sue a pharmacy company was just $100,000, just $100,000, not millions. If you realize that your kid gets injured by a vaccine and then you sue them and you get millions of dollars for that. But let's say it's limited to only $100,000. There are so many vaccine injuries that they would still go bankrupt. None of them would survive. So how in the heck can we say that this is positive for our country, for our health? I mean, if you need immunity to survive, then it can't be an entity that is worth having. That's not the way the American system works.
Yeah.
Like the American system, the government is supposed to protect us, the American citizen. It's not supposed to protect the company. It's supposed to protect the company maybe from other companies like monopolization and things like that. But in the end, that's intended to protect us, the consumer, the American citizen. It's not intended to protect an entity at our expense. And that's exactly what the arrangement that the pharmaceutical companies has with the United States government. The government protects the pharmaceutical companies against us while they're harming us.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference between that and being invaded? Right? Yeah. I mean, they're supposed to protect me if somebody breaks into my home. Not that they would. That person wouldn't last very long. But the pharmaceutical companies are coming in. They bring you in. You don't know what to do. You have your beautiful baby. You want your beautiful baby. You expect them to tell you the truth. Then they're going to jab that baby with a couple dozen vaccines, and they may get vaccine injured, and you can't do anything about it. And then they don't even tell you the truth about what they know about vaccines. Yeah. It's a crime against us. and they should pay. They should pay for this.
Yeah.
Just as much as China should pay for COVID.
Yep. Yep. And that's what I was just about to say. I mean, look at what happened with COVID, with this COVID vaccine. So much we don't know. So many people, having adverse effects from this thing. And it's just a sad situation, John. And it makes you wonder what's going on with these vaccines, Really does.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So, John, recently we had Liberation Day here in America, and a lot of people were asking.
Liberation Day.
Yeah. Happy Liberation Day, John. And a lot of people were asking, what is Liberation Day? They have no idea what it is. Well, here is President Trump to let us know exactly what Liberation Day is.
So, if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. We didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything. But now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips and semiconductors. We used to be the king, right? We were everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're going to end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei, of one of the great companies of the world, actually. They're coming in from Taiwan, and they're going to build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%, we're going to charge them 32%. Japan, very, very tough, great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart in doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office, right over there, right behind the Resolute desk or whichever desk they chose. Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46%, and much higher for certain items like cars, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very, very tough, very, very tough. The Prime Minister just left. And he's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades. And it was only 7 years ago when I came in, we started with China and charged them. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China in tariffs. And they understood, honestly. President Xi understood. He said, look, I understand. And the other countries, and they all understand. We're going to have to go through a little tough love, maybe, but they all understand. They're ripping us off, and they understood it. Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. He was unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. Trade is not fair. He said, I know that. And he was a great gentleman. He was a fantastic man, but he understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. He said, I know that. And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal, but frankly, there were many years left in the deal that was made previous to my getting there, but it was something. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa. You know, we're paying them billions of dollars, and we cut the funding because a lot of bad things are happening in South Africa. The fake news ought to be looking at it. They don't want to report it. Brazil, 10%, 10%. Bangladesh is 74%. So you see what's going on. Pakistan, 58%. Sri Lanka, 88%. So what we're doing is we're taking not the full, we could take the full 88%. Thanks a lot, Aaron. He's doing a very good job. How's he doing, all right? I think you better take it with you. It's not going to last very long. He's going to put it, it's going to follow you down with the wind.
But wow, John, you know, to see that, you know, how much we are being charged by other countries for our goods versus what we're bringing them in at, it's just crazy, man. You know, and it's amazing to me. We've never seen these numbers until now.
Well, you know, like countries have always had tariffs against the United States. I never understood why we would allow Japan to basically block any importation of American vehicles into Japan because we have so many Japanese vehicles here on the road, right? Why would we allow them? Why would we allow the European Union to do that? Don't we provide for their entire defense? Right? They're caught flat-footed, not having spent more than two nickels on their national defense because the United States is there to protect them.
Yep.
And they still have tariffs on American products, and they need American products. We don't depend on European product as much. You know, like, don't get me wrong. I love Italian wine, but I could live without it, right? I would hate to get California wine, but nonetheless, I could live without it. Okay, I'll go to Lakeland. They have a winery out there in Claremont.
Yep.
I don't need Italian wine. I love Italian things. I drive an Italian car. I like European product, but why do we allow this arrangement with the European Union, with all these other countries? And like, you know, I think the media was being completely moronic about their approach to this story, saying, oh, well, look, there's this tiny island. There's only 5,000 people that live there, and they only live there in the summer, and they don't even export anything. Do you think that Trump is going to care about some stupid little island in the middle of somewhere that belongs to the English Commonwealth? He just said everybody's going to get it. Lottie-dottie, everybody, and to use a military term, everybody's going to get the tariff. That's it. And I don't care if you're a little island and the only thing that you've exported to the United States is a shrimp last year. You're going to pay a tariff this time, unless you don't have tariffs on us.
Yeah.
And by the way, as Trump has said, Vietnam has already reached out and said that they want to have a zero tariff. They're going to remove tariffs by Americans. That's great because Vietnam is not a big product. It's not a big market for the United States, but we can now have that relationship with them. Argentina is signing a deal right now to get zero. Now, Argentina does make great wine. Okay, so if France, if Italy want to compete with Argentina for wine, all right, let's do it. I've always been a huge proponent of buying from the Western Hemisphere and consolidating the Western Hemisphere to keep out radical Islam, terrorism, crazy leftist ideology, and so on. So there is a battle for Latin America. You and I have talked about it on the show on why he chose Marco Rubio, and it's because of this, I think. So I think this is a great thing. Do not panic. Let me say this. Do not. I am not a financial advisor. Do not panic about the market. If it were me and I have my own retirement account, I wouldn't dream of pulling it outright. My retirement account, I would not close out my retirement account right now. I'm going to ride the up, okay, because there will be one. If you're betting on your country, right now is not the time to pull out of the market. The people who are trying to manipulate the market, on the other hand, are people who are against Trump. This is a political action, right? They're trying to drop the market.
Yes.
So hang in there, have faith. The eggs came down. I paid $3. I think it was in 7 cents for premium gasoline the other day, and I was like, "Wow, gas has dropped, and gas is dropping. That's going to be a boost for our economy." The egg prices are coming back, right? They're working these things. So
as we continue to drill, we'll see those gas prices go down even further.
Absolutely, and that's going to be a big deal. And we're going to see the United States economy is going to come back roaring. So right now, my opinion, purely as a non-fan, I'm not even good with money, but I am going to be buying, right, not selling right now. So just the economy. Trump knows how to manage the economy. If you don't remember what it was like 5 years ago, it was great.
Yep.
So just let him do his thing. Hang in there. Don't lose faith.
Yeah, and don't listen to the mainstream, the fake news media. Don't listen to people like Mark Cuban, who posted on Blue Sky today that every American needs to get 2 months worth of supplies and hold them in your house. Stupid. He's trying to tell people to be a prepper. Well, that's good if you're prepping, if you're actually prepping, you know. But he's doing this, telling people that because of Trump's tariffs, that you need to have 2 months worth of supplies because you're not going to be able to afford anything going forward, which is a total joke. You see, you know, we have these charts here. You know, you can look at them yourself and see what these countries are charging us to import our goods. You know, this is an opportunity for you to buy American. If you feel
I've never bought an American car.
No.
You know, actually, that's not true. I had a pickup truck, but you know, I'm not an American car buyer typically because I don't prefer them. I prefer European cars.
But you know, John, you can still have your European car because if it's made here in the United States,
absolutely,
it's not going to face the tariff. So,
but this is an aspect that people don't consider is that this is an opportunity for American car ingenuity, for American manufacturers of a car to compete. They're going to make this the level. Get out there, get innovative, make the best damn cars in the world, and everybody will start buying American. And Trump would be right. Imagine the economy if everybody starts buying American cars. Imagine the Japanese market open. Now, I don't think that a lot of Japanese people appreciate the American flavor when it comes to car, right? Because they're so, you know, they're
so used to their own cars. Yeah.
But, you know, China and everywhere else, they might. So, you know, this is a great opportunity. And I might, the next car I buy probably will be an American car. I mean, I've never considered, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll buy a Tesla, a Cybertruck.
Well, you know, if it's an American car made in Mexico, it's going to face those tariffs, John.
Yeah, I'm not buying a car made in Mexico.
I mean,
there's only one thing. No, there's only one group of things that I would ever buy in Mexico, and that's anything wrapped in a tortilla. That's it. There's nothing else I would buy in Mexico.
Well, speaking of a guy who's going to be, well, not Mexican food, but he's going to be having some Venezuelan food. You know, Venezuelan migrant influencer Leonel Moreno, and here's this story. It's from Jenny Terre, posted on X. She is a New York Post reporter covering Texas border and immigration. And yes, here it is. He is going back home to Venezuela. This is the guy who flashed around wads of government cash and handouts and encouraged other illegal border crossers to squat in American homes. He's been sent back to Venezuela. This is after causing an uproar on the flight back. He was sent back this week after President Trump resumed deportation flights to the country. The Minister of the Interior, Justice and Peace, Cabello, said Moreno was welcome back. However, the freeloading migrant caused disruptions on the flight and upset his fellow passengers. As a result, Moreno had to be placed in his own section of the plane with extra security to calm the tensions that he was causing the other passengers. So, yes, Mr. Moreno is back. And you have some details about this guy that I didn't know, John, don't you?
Well, I've read reports that this was a sergeant in the Venezuelan intelligence community. in their service. So if that's true, that entire thing was a operation of the Venezuelan military on oil, and the fact that the Democrats provided him with room to operate that plan is just the worst kind of traitorism.
Yeah. Don't disagree with that at all. And I was telling other migrants to go and squat, literally take them over. He was also telling so glad
Which
to
is
see
exactly
him go
the
back.
kind of chaos that somebody, that an intelligence operation would want to sow in another country.
Yeah.
Right? They would want all of these millions of migrants that Biden allowed the people who were signing documents for him to bring them, all these illegals that came in. That's what this guy tried to do, was to inspire them to take over American homes. That would have basically created war and chaos and, violence.
Yep.
And they probably should have sent him to that prison in El Salvador.
Yes. He would have been good at CCOT, John. He definitely would have been good over there.
That's where he should have been. That's where they should have sent him.
Yeah.
I would have donated money for his, care at CCAT.
Yeah, send him there. That's where he belongs. Anyway, all right. So moving on, John, this next one, this week we had our Congress go ahead and go home. They went home early after this vote that they had for what was it? The proxy voting. And everyone was mad at these Republicans that voted with the Democrats. Who was Anna Paulina Luna, Greg Stube, and a few others, or Stubbe and a few others. But maybe they should have been a little bit more mad about these Republicans here. These 4 Senate Republicans who voted with Dems to upend Trump's Canada tariffs. This story is on Daily Wire, John. And this was this past Wednesday evening. This handful of Republicans in the Senate joined forces with Democrats and independents on Wednesday to pass a measure subverting the Trump administration's 25% tariffs on Canadian goods. The Senate voted 51-48 in favor of a resolution from Senator Tim Kaine that, if enacted, would terminate the national emergency declaration employed by President Trump to impose tariffs on Canada earlier this year. Despite the Senate's rebuke, Kaine's resolution faces significant challenges as it needs approval from the GOP-led House to take effect, an unlikely prospect. Additionally, Trump indicated he would veto the resolution if it reached his desk. Senate Republicans who broke ranks to support Kaine's resolution includes Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Rand Paul. Senator Roger Marshall from Kansas did not vote. Very surprised to see Rand Paul there, but the other usual suspects, McConnell, Murkowski, Collins, I mean, that's not really a surprise, right, John?
No, it's not a surprise. I'm surprised to see Rand on there, but at the same time, he had questions about constitutionality, and he's a man with high level of integrity. I wish that he would not have picked this fight but if that's where his convictions lead him, fine. Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, and the gentlelady from Maine, they have no integrity. They have no honor. They're just pulling a John McCain when he saved Obamacare.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's against Trump, and they're liberals, and that's all that's to it. Now, listen, I also agree with you. I think that your statement was right on. People should have been pissed about this. Now, it's not going anywhere, right? Because it's not going to pass the House, and it would get vetoed anyway. So no big deal. But the fact that they would delay and do this and make this resistance, they have not been shamed enough yet by their own Republican grassroots in their own states.
Yes.
And that's what needs to happen. Now, let me talk a little bit about the Anna Paulina Luna. This is about basically proxy voting for pregnant women or women who have recently given birth, and it's for 3 months. Whether it's the man or the woman, anybody who had a baby for 3 months, proxy voting. I guess you can proxy vote from home or whatever. Now, I don't agree with it.
Right.
I don't believe in proxy voting. Right. I can absolutely empathize with the need to proxy vote. So here's what I would say. They should make a facility in the house for someone to take their child, or make a parenting room or a parenting salon there where parents can vote from that room, but in DC, in the Capitol, on site. And the reason I say that is because the Democrats would expand this out to taking care of their chihuahuas or their human with a dog mask or their furry kids who are 25 and live in their basement but wear a butt plug with a tail hanging out of it. Whatever it is, whatever the crazy Democrats are doing. And that was what the Republican leadership was saying that they were worried about, was that it would get expanded and then you would have this rule, and they didn't want that. So I don't agree with it. I think that they should make some kind of facility, some kind of concession. Why in the hell didn't leadership go to Anna Paulina Luna and sort that out so that it didn't have to come to this? And if you're going to lose the vote, then you lose the vote. That's the whole job of leadership, is to get all of your votes in order, make sure everybody's on the same page. And if you can't do that, then maybe Mike Johnson shouldn't be the leader.
Yeah.
And Mike Johnson has had multiple failures, and this is one. But I'll tell you what, his biggest failure, not just not being able to wrangle the votes and to get people organized and not being able to communicate in this the way that he should have so that this wouldn't have come to this. But the real failure is the fact that he allowed one of Trump's strongest supporters, which is Anna Paulina Luna, to get decimated by the mainstream media, by Republicans out there saying that they're working with Democrats and blah, 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 blah. They're betraying Trump and they're doing. Listen, there's 100 rhinos in Congress right now who are 10 times, 20 times more liberal and more counterproductive to Trump's agenda than Anna Paulina Luna.
Yep.
And he lets them get away with murder, but he's going to attack Anna Paulina Luna. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is disgusting. And she left the Freedom Caucus over it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're just dumb. This is dumb. It just shows a lack of real leadership in DC. That's what it is. And it's a shame.
Yeah.
Because right now we can't afford it because the margin is so slim. And all this stupidity played out by the mainstream media, because they'll take the baton and they'll run. I don't care. They'll ruin you with whatever the opportunity they have, is going to make the midterms more difficult.
Yeah.
And that needs to be our priority right now, because we can have 2 years of a bunch of success and then have 2 years of fighting tooth and nail over every inch, or we can win those midterm races, expand our margin, and then really take it to them for the last 2 years of Trump.
Yep.
I mean,
and that's what we need to do, John, because if we lose in the midterms and we lose that majority in either one of the Senate or the House, we're in big trouble. The Trump agenda is in big trouble. The MAGA agenda is in big trouble. So they don't need to be having these skirmishes. They don't need to be playing these games, because
over something dumb. And then Trump went against them, and he publicly was on the side of Anna Paulina Luna.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they just look like idiots. I don't know why they would do that. I get it. They don't want their rules. But really what they want is for their representatives to obey. This was the Sabatini doctrine. Whenever somebody goes against what you as leaders say and demand, then you get punished. But the punishment for Anna Paulina Luna was so severe, it's idiotic. And then you have people all over social media calling her a traitor. She's not a traitor, man. She loves Trump.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is something that she was passionate about. And you should be allowed to be passionate about something and not get your reputation destroyed. if you're going to allow the real rhinos to survive with their reputation intact,
Yeah.
go attack the rhinos first. Get rid of the rhinos first, and then have your fights with Anna Paulina Luna, right?
Yeah.
Don't fight with Byron Donalds and then protect Lindsey Graham.
Great example there. Absolutely, John. All right, so let's go and move on to our stories from across the nation. All right, there we go. I appeared back again. All right, so John, here we go. Tim Walz will not go away, John. He will just not disappear. He just keeps popping up. He's doing these town hall meetings. He's getting a gymnasium full of people. It's amazing to see that he wants to continue his 15 minutes of fame.
Teenage sweat halls, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And it's amazing. You see all these older faces in the crowd, and it's like, you older folks should know better. You should know better than to listen to this maniac. But yes, he's trying to keep his 15 minutes of fame going. Here he is, and he believes, and he says this out loud, that Democrats keep losing because they don't push DEI and wokeism hard enough. Hard enough. Here he is, John.
That our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define.
I don't know what's happening to this video.
What woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies. We're going to put them in, and we're going to execute them. And so that our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country.
I'll let it play again.
Let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is.
How dumb can you be? The election is over. I question wrong. After the test, how dumb can you be exactly?
No.
It's the election is over. He's the polling took place, and then pretending it's like this is a guy who gets the question wrong. Everybody hates after the test, and he's given the cheat sheet. He still gets the question wrong.
No.
It's ridiculous. You just say that they should be proud. I wish they would continue. I think Tim Walz. In fact, I nominate Tim Walz to be the next Democrat candidate for president.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. I would be okay with that.
I want him to run on DEI and transgenderism specifically, explicitly.
And wokeism. We need that wokeism.
Tampon Tim for president. For the Democrat for president.
Oh man, yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, it would be a slam dunk for whoever it is that's the Republican running.
I mean, any Republican would win. Any Republican would win.
If it's Trump's third term, it's going to be a blowout. But
you're going to say that, and some Democrats going to
freak out. They're freaking out. It's so funny to me, John, that President Trump does this, right? He plays with them. He plays with the media, right? He'll say these things, that'll get dropped out there that he's going to try and seek a third term. They'll ask him and he'll dance around the subject, you know what I mean? And he won't say exactly. Yes. And it's amazing to me. He keeps getting them. He keeps getting them. But yeah, he's great. Anyway, let's move on.
Whether he's running for a third term, he's investigated it. I mean, puppet master.
All right, so Tim Walz, go away, and here we go with this Tennessee state representative who lunges towards a Republican during a debate on gun control. So this Democrat gets violent over gun control.
When you start this one, Tom, start it and then fast forward it a little bit so we don't have to watch the entire thing.
Yeah, we don't have to go through the whole thing. But yes, this is Tennessee state representative Justin Pearson, who was previously paraded around by the media in 2023. He's blaming guns for his brother's suicide earlier this month when the incident unfolded. This state representative, Andrew Farmer, accused Pearson of being lazy. This is when this guy lost it. And here we go. Let's watch this. And I'll trim it down a little bit from where it's a pretty long
the
video.
middle part out. So let him get started. Let him see how
it is a pathetic excuse for you to not answer the question of why we are doing nothing about the gun violence epidemic than to personally attack me. But let me explain to you what I have been doing, Representative, since you asked. My brother, Temperance Darnell Pearson, one of the loves of my life, passed away from gun suicide on December 1st of 2024. And since that happened, it shattered my family like gun violence has shattered so many families. Shattered my nephew's lives, my mother, my father, my other brothers who are remaining. I buried my brother. I planned for his entire funeral. My fiance made his obituary. I made sure that he was taken care of, even in death. That's what I've been doing. But also, not just that, I went to all of my nephew's schools. I met with their principals and their teachers to ensure that they are okay. I gave them and made sure that they had grief counseling and that they're seeing a psychiatrist. That's what I've been doing. And while you're talking about hard work, you need to realize that our job is not just in this state house with these marble floors. Our jobs are on the streets and in the communities that we serve. And so while you've been here passing bills that have been hurting transgender children, while you've been here passing bills that have been hurting the poor, hurting the marginalized, hurting the disenfranchised, while you've been here passing bills that have not ended poverty, while you've been here passing bills that have not helped people who need Medicaid expansion, while you've been here doing the hard work of making sure that our state is not the state that it can be, because you have decided.
Representative Pearson.
Reality of our
Wait, so they turn off his mic.
Yeah. So he just keeps going and going and going.
Keeps on going. This chairman, and we can play it, but this chairman, just doesn't do anything. He just allows them to go on for minutes. Like, keep going, keep playing it.
All right.
Say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. The ayes prevail. We are now voting to send House Bill 1392 on to full judiciary.
Whatever the bill is, and then
does anyone wish to change their vote?
Watch what happens here.
Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 2 ayes, 7 nays.
So this skinny little scarecrow over here comes up and gets in this guy's face. Act tough.
Yeah.
God, this was like his Will Smith moment.
He's a real tough guy when he knows that there's a bunch of people to stop anything from really going on.
They grabbed him. They held him back. He didn't fight off. What a show! This is They all went out. Jr. They grabbed him. They held him back. He didn't fight off. What a show! This is Will Smith Jr. But the most accurate part about the Will Smith Jr. that he provides is the fact that, Will Smith apparently likes men. Formative politician he is.
Yeah.
With his afro, and he's just all BS.
No, not at all.
He's a smart guy. He's a good writer. He's a good actor. But
we don't know that someone didn't write that for him, John. You know what I mean?
I think he writes that himself, and I think he practices it in the mirror for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. Skinny felt real tough in the moment.
It felt real tough. No one was in danger in that room, by the way.
No. Nobody was. All right, John. So let's move on to this one. And this is a New Hampshire Democrat who gets accused by other Democrats of discrimination and being a racist. Can you believe that? Well, yes, when you don't toe the party line with the Democrats, that's what happens. So here we go.
It's exactly why I got up here today. I could have quietly voted my conscience, could have followed the party line, but Mr. Speaker, again, the consent of one person cannot stand for the consent of another. And just because one person is comfortable with a transgender woman being in the bathroom with them or playing sports with them or being in a prison with them doesn't mean that another woman is. And these issues do not have to cause violence. These conversations can be nuanced, and we can have conversations about treating each other with respect and humanity. And putting in place policies that say that women who were born women deserve a space to themselves, whether that be the bathroom or sports or the locker room or prisons, is not transphobic. And there are people in my town, there are people throughout the country who are liberal, left-leaning people who agree with what I just said here, but some of them won't vote with me here. Some of them, in fact, left the party in my town. There was just a woman last week who left my party because she felt not only was she not being heard, but she felt like there was no way for her to even speak up about this position. And given how many people are still in their seats, I can understand why. The orthodoxy of the Democratic Party on this issue has left us to where we can have nuanced discussions, and women are being silenced in this conversation. As much as people don't want to hear that, that is what is happening. And when I talked to people on this side of the issue and this side of the issue, I heard, I don't want any violence to happen against me. I don't want to be disrespected or unheard. I heard that from transgender individuals, and I heard that from women. So, Mr. Speaker, I think HB 148, legislation which enables localities, municipalities, and businesses to put in place specific policies around definitions of sex, is not a right-wing, fascist, Nazi movement like I'm told it is. I was called a Nazi for the prospect of giving this speech.
Wow.
Well, there you have. This guy is a Nazi who behaves like a perfect gentleman, who delivers a very intelligent speech. He's a Democrat also, and he's also a black guy. That guy's a Nazi. But the other black guy is like the shining star of the Democrat Party, who acts like an idiot, who loses all kinds of composure, and then makes a show out of his state legislative body.
Yeah.
This is crazy. We're in bizarro world.
And this is the problem with the modern Democratic Party, John, is that it's just like this guy said. No.
And they're gonna paint the other guy like they're not gonna even talk about him.
Yeah. You know, and it's like he said, you know, they can't even have a conversation about this. You know, there's no talking about it. Yeah. You know, just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you know, until Democrats learn to be able to have civil discourse and have a conversation about tough issues, especially ones like this one where you know, transgender athletes in sports and stuff like this, there are many people that believe that this shouldn't be happening. But if you believe or you're, and that's on the left, especially earlier about vaccines and RFK Jr. and what he's going to do as far as these issues with the vaccines and going after the manufacturers, you know, when you have an adverse reaction to these vaccines. This story was very interesting that there are no cases of autism in the Amish community. So let's watch this video. I thought this was fascinating.
Percentage, because so many of us blindly followed, you know, the recommendations to vaccinate children.
Yeah, it's less than 1% of the public. So the Amish are a perfect example of a large group of people who are largely unvaccinated. And there's no we can't find an autistic kid who was unvaccinated. It's very, very rare in the Amish community, very, very rare. You won't find kids with ADD, with autoimmune disease, with panda pans, with epilepsy. You just don't find any of these chronic diseases in the Amish. And you know, the U.S. government has been studying the Amish for decades, but there's never been a report out to the public. The reason, of course, is it would show that, oh, if you don't follow our guidelines, you're going to end up healthier. That's why there's no report after decades of studying the Amish. There's no report because the report would be devastating to the narrative. It would show that the CDC has been harming the public for decades and saying nothing, bearing all the data.
Yeah, it's true. And yes, this came from Vigilant Fox on X. So you can also go and see that on Vigilant Fox. But yeah, John, this is the case. You know, they have no real, this control group data that was from Dr. Paul Thomas. They basically have zero arthritis. This is the Amish. 0% heart disease, 0% diabetes, 0% asthma, 0% autism, 0% or ADHD, and 0% of cancer. This is in the Amish community.
Why isn't this something so well known amongst the American people is the crazy thing. Now, I know I had this conversation with a liberal recently, and they were telling me, oh, well, the Amish there's such a tiny population. There's only like, 30,000 Amish. No, there are 400,000 Amish people in the United States. 400,000 people. Okay. That means that in a group of 400,000 people, they can't find a child with autism. They can't find cancer. They can't find arthritis. They can't. So what do you think that the difference is? I mean, there's only two, right? There can only be two. One is the lack of electricity. So are the environments, are the products that we use, are they causing us harm? And two is the diet. They are not eating processed foods. So now just the diet, but also everything that they ingest, including medicine. And they're not vaccinating their children. So this is a huge, this should be like the #1 story in health.
Yes,
and
it should.
The fact that, yeah, I mean, there's what else is there to talk about? They're all living a high quality life much longer than the average American who's living the regular lifestyle. I don't understand why people aren't interested in this. We're looking outside to other countries for health when we have a population of 400,000 people here who are in great health.
Yeah.
And maybe there's something to learn from there. And if we can't extract the data that we need in order to be able to apply those principles of health to all the other Americans in the country, then, I mean, what's the point? What's the point of having an FDA at all?
Yeah. I mean, look at this. This is 400,000 people that don't have any of the issues that the millions of other people in this nation have.
Half, right? Half of all Americans deal with these issues. I mean, it's crazy. They're impacted by at least one of these issues.
Yeah. Like what are they doing right? Well, you know, they're
Everything,
not getting
apparently.
these vaccines. They're not getting these vaccine regimens. They're not eating the processed unhealthy foods and things that we have in our diets. Yeah, that's what they're doing right. So hopefully RFK Jr. will look into that too. All right, so finally, John, to end our show tonight, did you know? Well, there's a lot of things we found out about Eric Adams this week. We found out, number one, that he is going to run for mayor of New York City again, but he has left the Democrat Party. He is going to run as an independent. I guess he feels he can't win as a Republican in New York. But we did find out that he is a Kash Patel fan, John. Think. Hold on, let me see. Is he? Now, you look back, this book, right? He's talking about this book. What book does he hold up? Let's see. What is it? It's Government Gangsters, John. Government Gangsters. I don't think the sound was on this video. Hold on. Let me see. Did you hear it?
Yeah. And New Yorkers stop me all the time in trying to find the rationale behind this. And I found it in this book.
That's Kash Patel's book, Government Gangsters. Recommended reading for sure. And
yeah, I'm gonna have to get a copy and read it. So here's the thing about Eric Adams. He's leaving the Democrat. This guy would have been a credible, path to the north, right? And maybe a little bit older than he's not one of these young guys, but he was a credible figure. He had a good history. People liked him. He was pleased. And he went against the Biden policy, and then they came after him hard.
Yep.
Because he was too big of a guy, too big of a name to be messing around with the platform. And so they smoked him for it, and now he's leaving. Now, what does this do in New York? You have Cuomo running as a Democrat. You have Eric Adams running as an independent, and then you have the Republican, who's a very difficult thing. I think, they have under 30%. So, but if you could split those two votes with minority vote maybe going with Eric Adams, you're going to have all the crazy blue-haired nut jobs voting for Cuomo. You're going to have the political establishment voting for Cuomo. But I think that you might have a lot of these people that might go with Eric Adams. And then there's possible, an outside chance that the Republican wins.
Yeah. And I figured out what his name is, John. I figured it out. It is Curtis Sliwa. He's
the founder of the Guardian Angels, right?
The Guardian Angels. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if a Republican won for mayor of New York City? I mean, man, that would be a huge one. And I know that they're going to throw so much money in that race. So I don't know. But now it gives us a 2 out of 3 chance to prevent the Democrat from winning. Especially a guy who is essentially responsible for killing a whole bunch of people during COVID. For what he did, or at least making people die alone without access to their family members. Right? It's nuts. Nuts.
Yeah. All right, John. So that is it for our show, man. That is it. That's all we got tonight.
Yeah, it was a quick one.
Yeah.
What are we? About an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, so we did good.
10 minutes shy. I knew we were gonna go quick. We did that 10 minutes shy
before we came on.
I knew we were gonna go quick. We did so much work before we came onto the
as
show.
always,
I knew it was gonna
we
go
are
fast.
so grateful for you, for those of you who are
So
watching.
as
We had a
always,
pretty good
we are so
number coming on
grateful for
being
you, for those
outside,
of you who are
being
watching.
away
We had
for
a
a
pretty
month,
good number coming
but,
on for being
we will
outside,
come back
being
with the
away for a month.
Unsanctioned Florida
But
show here soon.
we will come back with
We
the
love you. We are
Unsanctioned
so
Florida
grateful
show
to you
here
for watching
soon.
and supporting.
We love you. We are so grateful to
this
you
is
for
a
watching
country
and
that is on a
supporting.
path. It's on its way.
This is a
back
country that
towards
is on a
Christ,
path.
and
It's
that, man,
on
you
its
can feel
way
that, right?
back
And
towards Christ.
some scary
and
things
that,
might be
man,
happening.
You can
might
feel
get,
that, right? And
um,
some scary things might be
it
happening.
seems
You
like
might
you're getting
get
pushed to worry. Don't worry. We are in
It
good
seems like you're
hands,
getting
and this
pushed to
country is coming
worry.
back.
Don't
America's
worry.
going to be
We
great
are in
again.
good hands,
So
and this
you
country is coming back. America's
stay,
going to be great
humble
again. So you stay
and stay on the
humble
path. We are in this together, and we're going to a great place.
and
So
stay on the
thank
path.
you.
We
love
are
you.
in
God
this
bless
together,
you,
and we're
we'll
going
see
to a great
you
place.
later on
So
in the
thank
week for
you. We
Unsanctioned
love you.
Florida.
God
Yeah, and
bless you, and we'll see you later on in the week for Unsanctioned Florida.
Don't
forget to
forget,
like and share.
if you live in Central Florida in the Osceola County area, there's the Spring Fling tomorrow. The Florida Republican Assembly Osceola County chapter will be there. We're gonna have a good time. Never mind what's going on in Kissimmee at that Tesla dealership tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll say a prayer for that Tesla dealership and make sure that they are okay. The Democrats are planning a Tesla takedown at that Tesla
let's see how that
dealership.
goes.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
might have to head out there in a Tesla. Hey, listen, really quick, I want to say thank you, Apostle Rafael Mojica, one of the greatest pastors in Florida and across